I started a Facebook Live on my business page only to forget that Sterling couldn't join in because my business page doesn't allow me to pull people on. So I'll just wait here a minute to see if Sterling shows up. But I was talking about Reboot and the subscription service that I've started and the little ripples and feedback that we've gotten over the past few months. The people inside the subscription service love it. They've left great reviews. But even in the Massage CE review group, there's confusion about what it is we're doing. People are asking, wait, we don't understand, is this a CE class? And it's like, no, it's education. And they're like, but you're not offering credit. And I'm like, no, not yet, because the National Certification Board has to approve that before we can do it. But what is a subscription service for education in the massage industry? Currently, it doesn't exist. And that's what we're trying to create in the massage industry is I'm giving students information. I'm literally going inside my classes, recording everything and uploading it. In addition to that, when I'm working with massage therapists, they're asking questions about social media. So I'm screen sharing, showing the inside of my social media platforms and showing how I'm putting together and putting out dispensing information to answer massage therapist questions about, do they have a personal Facebook page or a business Facebook page? You know, how do they use Instagram and hashtags? I just uploaded last night, there was a 30-minute video just on Twitter where I'm talking about the little subtle nuances that exist on a different platform. We're providing education in a completely amazing way that nobody else has ever seen. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can add Sterling. And I have invited him. We'll see if he shows up. But the whole thing is, I just keep trying to work with massage therapists to give them content and information. And I realized that there was a gap in how the information flow was actually going. In other words, I already have video equipment. I have a phone. I just press a button. I can stream video. Why aren't they using this for education? And let's see if I can invite Sterling. And I'm drinking a nice little Topo Chico here. Topo Chico, if you want to contact me and sponsor Reboot, I'll be happy to take truckloads of Topo Chico, which would probably make my wife happy. Hey Patrick, how you doing, man? It's good to see you from London. Hey Aaron. Aaron's Christine Conway. Hey Sterling, how's it going, man?
Yeah, what's up, man?
Yeah, I started it through my
It's
business
good.
page. I always forget I can't invite you on unless it's through my personal page.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't think my business page, the way it's set up currently, it doesn't allow you to do it from a business page. So I went ahead and just set it up through my personal account. So Sterling, listen, we were talking about the subscription service and talking about education, primarily from the video you just did, where the young lady was talking about classes, online classes, providing mentorship and information to people, regardless of what industry they're in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is, we're doing something similar in the massage industry. You're in the Insiders Club, the Reboot Insiders Club, the subscription service we started. Have you seen anything like it in our industry?
No.
And that's what I keep telling people, and it's hard to describe because they're like, is this a CE class? I don't understand. What is this?
Because obviously most people aren't going to buy something unless it gets them credit. I mean, that's just natural.
And we're working towards that, but the National Certification Board has certain rules about how that stuff is set up. I just uploaded the first video of like the carpal tunnel series. I'm going to have to submit all of that video content to then get credit.
I mean, and plus it's where you're coming from too, because again, most people are table based, so it's like, regardless if it was CE credit or just a course, it's like, you know, most of the content is geared towards a mat. Yes, you have table time, but it's a different perspective because for some people, they may look at it, okay, might just do it for the credit. Some people might go through it, and it's just like for fun for them. Like, I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
The content that we have up, I mean, I'm trying to think. Most, let's see. So mostly it's table tie. Table tie, there's probably at least 18 hours of content just on that. And then it does include private
Mhm.
trainings where students are asking for table work, and I keep shooting some of the same stuff over and over again because they need repetition to be able to see it. It's like long term, it's mat based, but it very much feels like there are times, and people can take umbrage with this if they want. I feel like Henry Ford. I've got a very affordably priced Model T Ford, and I'm walking into an industry full of horse breeders who are saying, no, we don't want this. And I'm like, it's too bad. I don't care if you don't want it. Massage therapists are hurting themselves and they're working ineffectively. They're not helping clients as much as they could doing mat based work. I'm not opposed to tables, but when you make it the only option, I don't think that's good for therapists, and I don't think it's good for the public.
All right, so here's probably what like I'm trying to do as well. It's like it's how you educate people because obviously you can repeat it only so many times. You've been repeating it for years, right? So for some people, I think they're just not aware, or is that they're not as like ready for change. Because I'm like, to me, it's perfectly logical how you're doing more work than necessary working on a table than a mat, and that's just me, and that's based on just my own body awareness and just look at the simple fact: how are you gonna be in the best position for yourself, right? Massaging people when you're leaning over people and you're leaning over them at an angle. Like that just doesn't make any sense. Like just biomechanical wise, like when you think about the best position to press on somebody, would you push like when you push somebody, would you push somebody at an angle or would you push them straight forward? But when we work, like typically, like on a table, you're pressing on people at an angle, and the only thing you can use is your hands and your forearms. But people want you to go deep as can be, and luckily I work at a place on a hydraulic table, and sometimes you have to put that thing down.
Yeah.
So I'm 5'10", having to go all the way down to press on somebody. That's not good for my back at all.
I mean, the thing is, I'm not fighting table work. It's the thing is it's not a matter of like either or. The problem is like when you think about the United States, massage envy's at the helm. Massage is on a table. What facility in the United States does mat-based body work?
Only like small businesses.
None. And that's the whole thing. It's like you're introducing novelty into an industry that is very resistant to change. I'm providing massage education in a way they've never seen, and they're going, I don't understand what this is. This is confusing to me. And I'm like, I gave you a coupon code for $1. Go check it out. I don't think I'm hurting your retirement. Like, go.
And again, and it comes down to pricing because what's weird is that people will throw down money to go see, to learn from Eric Dalton. I'm not knocking Eric Dalton because that's smart. If I could get people to pay me thousands of dollars to host a class or whatever, like I definitely do that.
Yeah.
But it's like it's weird that people will just flock to that just because of the name, right? Oh, it's Eric Dalton. It's medical massage. It's myoskeletal alignment. Like just based, I feel like it's just wordplay. And that's the thing when I talk about education is that when I say you can learn from videos, and I still scream it to the top of my lungs, like a lot of education is the same stuff repackaged. And it's not to say that education is bad, but it's like, why does it cost an arm and a leg for some of these classes when you're probably teaching me something I already do?
Yeah.
Or just a slight variation of what of what I already do.
Sure. And the thing is, like fundamentally, like people will ask me about Reboot, and they're like, "Well, I don't understand. Is it Thai massage, or is it this, or is it that?" And it's like, listen, you can only manipulate soft tissue in so many ways.
Yeah.
It's like, but the thing is, it's how you're packaging it and putting it together and delivering it to the public and then delivering it to therapists. I got tired of dealing with other people's limitations and decided to brand what I was doing specifically and sell that. But I have to take a therapist who's been encultured. There's a cultural hegemony about the table, and I'm basically walking into an industry and pushing the table over. That's a real challenge. It's not going to be easy.
Yeah, definitely. Because especially when you consider what the public is looking for too,
Yeah.
at the same front, because when you think massage therapist, what do you think they usually work on? A table. And that's like a challenge with me. And I'm trying to record videos to just put it out over time, is because I'm really trying to show people and like build up my own clientele that, hey, I'm a massage therapist, but I don't like working on a table. I work on a mat.
Yeah.
And this is better for XYZ reasons. But of course, no one's thinking of that and looking for that, at least from what I know of.
Well,
You
the
know
thing
what I mean?
is, because it's not been packaged and sold. And that's
Exactly.
what part of the challenge is. There's a marketing challenge, but there's also this body work challenge when it comes to physics. And what you talked about with angles and the way that the table is used. You know, I'll tell people when it comes to Reboot, I'm like, listen, I don't break the laws, but Reboot breaks all the rules. And there's a difference, because the state regulators have rules, right? No, I'm sorry, the state regulators have laws. That was what I meant to say. The thing is, physics has laws. We can't break the laws of physics, and we can't break the laws of the state of Texas. But Reboot breaks all the rules, because nobody says you have to work on a table. It's just a culturally sanctioned way that therapists have taught the public to consume something. And having mat-based work, it's like it's taken 7 years in Austin, but there are some facilities in Austin that are offering mat-based work. Large chains are not.
Patrick, no one's going to put down money for that. Regular tables are already expensive. No one's going to put down more money to get bigger tables.
I mean, yeah, I mean, you could, I mean, physics-wise, but the thing is, it's like, my whole thing is like, why work on a table to begin with? And I know that basically ostracizes a large part of the marketplace, but the whole thing is, it's like, I stopped looking at mat-based work and the fact that the person was clothed as a disadvantage. Because initially, I'm trying to sell what I do. I'm trying to sell what the school taught me. I'm trying to sell what the CE providers taught me. And I went, well, this is weird, because the consumer doesn't want something on a mat. The consumer wants to take their clothes off. That's what they've been cultured and trained to do. And all of a sudden, when I'm trying to sell this different kind of work, I'm like, okay, hold on. I'm on the inside. I'm a body mechanic. This is how I think it works best. The client keeps their clothes on, and they're on a mat. Now, how do you sell that? How do you reach out to consumers and get them to want to purchase that? What are the advantages it gives me? And the first thing was like, you can do it publicly. All of the notions of issues of intimacy, sexuality, sensuality were to a degree removed because you could do it publicly. The client is clothed. You can film everything. I can turn my phone around right now and work on somebody, and I don't have to skip a beat. Because mat-based work has a very distinct advantage in the Western marketplace. It looks different, and you can see it.
Or even with me, my selling point would just be like what I'm trying to do with like videos I'm making now. Because I have an older one of me working on a table, and I showed like a before and after me working on someone and how their hips look before and after. So for me, it'd just be the results, because essentially, right, when people come get massages, it's just, right, for some people it's pain relief. So whether it's getting a massage, doing all these other things, it's just a matter of, you know, what are they looking for, right? Results. But this is the way I get you those results.
Yeah, and John Adams, he's talking about doing 80% of their sessions fully clothed. The thing is, when people think about going to a chiropractor, they don't get undressed. When people think about going to a physical therapist, they don't necessarily get undressed.
Exactly.
And the thing is, it has an advantage. It has an advantage. Once you introduce, and I'm not saying you can't do this, but once you introduce nudity, it changes the dynamic energetically of the session and what's going on. I'm not saying that's a bad sort of work. I'm saying that what I'm trying to package and sell is a little bit more challenging in a way, because it's not what the consumer has been taught to purchase.
Yeah, or just even like, you know, like again, when you think of the traditional setting where people work or how it's looked at, where it's like, for me, it's like, you know, at work, I'm encouraged not to talk to people. I do, but it just kind of depends on how the session is, how you hit it off with some people, depending on what kind of massage they're kind of coming in for, if they're a talker or whatever. But like for me, my ideal session isn't like we're just sitting there in silence and then I'm just moving about you. It's like, no, I'm going to be talking to you the whole time so I can give feedback.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, the whole
I
thing
mean,
is, when it comes to physics, you're breaking the rules because you're getting on top of the client. I'm standing on clients. I'm using the absolute deepest compressions imaginable. The work that I am teaching, most massage therapists have flat out never had. And I cannot scale this. It's impossible. I can only work on one person at a time. The only thing I can scale is information. The reason I can put this out and there's 6 people viewing it right now is because it scales. It scales in a way that manual therapy, actually touching people, does not.
yeah, and that's what I like about mat work, though, is that you get to move around and it can be creative. Because it's funny, just when I'm thinking the other day when I was working on Christina, and I'm like, I'm literally just sitting on her quad. Like, I'm literally just sitting on her.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, I'm still releasing content and videos where I'm slowly releasing that stuff, like testing the market to see how they feel about it. Because in the West, do you sit on a client?
No.
And I'm like, listen, the West, you're missing out. I know you have weird preconceived culture, sanctioned ways of dealing with stuff, but you're wasting your time and it's not as effective for the clients. And I'll argue that till the ends of the earth. Table work is good for some certain specific things, but if the only tool you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Therapists come in daily to massage groups that I read and say, I'm getting carpal tunnel syndrome. And I want to throw shit out of windows. It's like, there is no reason. It makes me angry. There's like a righteous indignation that comes out of making therapists hurt themselves to try to help people.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing, too, where I see people where it's like, I see constantly, too, I'm seeing people say, I'm having carpal tunnel, or like my shoulders hurt, or like this and that. And it's like, I see it as twofold, because one, we can go into saying like, it's body mechanics, it's taking care of yourself. But at the same time, I do realize it's hard to work on people sometimes. And when all you can do is press, and even though it doesn't matter where you're pressing from too, whether it's from your hands or a forearm, that tension does add up over time. So even if it's like not in your hands, I've heard people like dislocating shoulders and stuff like that.
I'll talk to students in class and I'll say, listen, I need you guys to dig a ditch. Here's a hand trowel. Can you go dig a ditch with a hand trowel? And they're like, well, I mean, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, how are your hands and arms going to feel when you're done digging that ditch? And they're like,
exactly.
yeah. And I'm like, okay, so now I'll give you a shovel. Can you dig a ditch with that? And they're like, oh, that's a little better. And I'm like, yeah, well, I'm trying to give you a bobcat. You have the appropriate tool for the appropriate job. And that's what the difference is. I'm teaching therapists to use their entire body. Me working, using that suspension system, standing on people, using my legs, my feet, my knees, all of my body, reduces strain and stress on my hands and wrists.
Exactly. But yeah, people would rather work harder.
Well, the thing is, like, what I see is this. Like, even if the students are in the Reboot Insiders Club, they're on the subscription service, they're looking at it and they're going, oh man, I have to learn how to sell something different. It's like, yes, I'm not doing what you think of as massage at all. Like, the longer you dig in it, the more you'll see why I'm frustrated and why I drink. It's like, the thing is, I'm not selling what you were taught to sell in school. I'm not interacting with clients the way you were taught to in school. Like, I'm doing completely innovative body work. It's wonderful work. But the thing is, I also realize it doesn't matter how many individual clients I work on. I have to get other therapists to reboot their clients to build something larger to make a lasting impact in the industry. It doesn't matter if my practice booms. To me, that's still a loss. I could be completely booked out and just spend every day working on clients, and I would never make the cultural impact that I want to make. And that's why I started recording all of my classes and uploading it all to the subscription service, because therapists have to understand there's a different way of working. Even when they understand some of the implications of using it on a table, it starts to crack. They start to go, oh, man, Robert's really, like, he's addressing things from a different angle, even on a table, than I've seen other educators talk about. It's like relieving my own strain, and the clients are getting better faster. And I'm like, yes, come on. But I have to wean them off of the culture that they were put in. They were weaned on a table. They've learned to think of that as being the only acceptable environment to work.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a matter of time, and then just as more people put out content, like myself, because like I know there's plenty of Thai massage stuff out there, but it's like for me, I don't look at it as like, you know, traditional Thai, and I know that's not what you're geared to as well, because you know, in a suspension system. So I think it's just a matter of building the content over time, which is why I'm trying to make videos, so I actually have stuff to repackage and show people, because it was interesting. At my job, there's a girl who just started, and she just got out of school. And I was saying, like, you know, do you just work here, or, you know, just make a conversation, or, you know, do you have other clients? She's like, no, I just work here. She's like, you know, I gotta work on networking. I'm not really good at it. And she's like, you know, what about you? I was like, I have a challenge, because at this point in my career, I like working on a mat. So I'm just trying to figure out how do I package it. She's like, what do you mean, like Thai massage? I'm like, no, like my own thing. And I was like, I have a video I can show you. And then I showed her. She's like, I've never really seen that before. And I was just thinking, like, to her, she's probably like, oh, wow, because she's just getting out of school and just so used to a table.
Yeah.
And then probably just seeing me work on a mat, it was like totally blew her mind. Maybe it didn't blow her mind, but just a different way of working.
Yeah, I mean, everything I'm doing from a bodywork standpoint and an educational standpoint, it's working. It's just not as fast as I want it to be. Essentially, I feel like I've created the Model T Ford. I figured out how to produce it inexpensively enough to scale it worldwide, and the industry is looking at me and they're like, but I have a horse.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, this is a more effective, efficient way. And they're like, I don't know, it's loud. I've never seen a car before. What is this? Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's just a matter of time.
The Massage CE Review Group, you know, I could tell the feedback from them, and I've supported their group over the years because massage therapists need information, and they need information with a degree of ethics and transparency that's hard to manage. And then when people started posting reviews about the subscription service, you could tell by the questions they're going, wait, what is this? Because they've never seen anybody deliver education via subscription service.
Yeah, and just even on top of that, I think we were talking about like price, because no one's gonna put out, right, besides you, no one's gonna put out all that time and all that content for pennies. Like, no one's gonna do that.
But the thing is,
so that's how I think it could be.
You know, if I'm selling a session, I have to charge a lot per session to be able to compensate me for my time.
Exactly.
But the thing is, if I'm recording my classes, well, I'm just doubling up. I'm like recording what I'm already getting paid to teach anyway. And if you come take class with me, it's like you pay $300 for class. If I record it and say, hey, I'm going to provide you access to the content, it's like I'm giving you a bonus because you can see the class again. Yeah. You can review.
And that's the thing. It's an interesting perspective too, because we don't have. Well, I guess it depends on your state, because I know when we talk about online education, I know in Texas you can't show techniques. I'm not sure how it is for other states.
And that's the thing.
But that's how
we're pushing the edges, and people in Texas, here's what will happen. People in Texas will eventually get angry, and they'll say, well, I can't get credit. And I'm like, okay, so you need to contact the state board and bitch to them. It's not my problem.
Oh, but I'm saying even just past that, it's like the way people look at online education, because for the most part, for most people, you don't think that, oh, I could just possibly take a class online and learn from that. And I guess maybe it depends, because I know for Texas, you know, not being able to have access to techniques online, that might be a different perspective. So speaking from a Texas point of view, it's like, oh, I could just look at something online. To where me, I'm like, yes, you can learn stuff online and pick it up. Like, it's not that for me, it's not that hard.
No, the thing
It's
is,
really
I
not.
looked at online education, and I told myself years ago I would never do online education. I was like, online education sucks across the board. In our industry, it was scraping the bottom of the barrel. And then I thought about it as I continued to make YouTube videos and continued to put out content, made workbooks, made DVDs, made content, and was like, wait a second, hold on. There's another layer here. Because the thing is, when you get on the Reboot Insiders Club, that subscription service for $7 a month, it's not just getting access to that 50 hours of pre-recorded video content. We're adding you to a private Facebook group where you can ask me questions. Sterling asks me a question, and I can shoot a video to answer his question and then upload it. I'm allowing ongoing interaction, ongoing access, interactivity in online education, and then we have a once-a-month live interactive class so he can ask me questions live and I just demonstrate technique. He says, hey, I've got a person with a problem with headaches. And I go, okay, listen, I think it's probably splenius capitis. Here's some ways you could address it. It sounds like the referred pain pattern, or whatever. Like, I'm trying to make the online class as interactive and as value-filled as I possibly can. But the value comes from its interactivity, not just the pre-recorded content. That's what I see.
Yeah, it makes sense too. Yeah. Because, I mean, anyone can just watch anything. It's different when they actually like interact with you and ask questions, because that's really how they get the most benefit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the whole thing was I had people in South Dakota who'd contact me, and they'd say, how can I study with you? And it's too expensive for me to go to them, and it's too expensive for them to come to me. But if I set it up for $7 a month and just upload the content, put them in the group, let them ask questions, we're as close as we can get without that geographic boundary issue.
Because, I mean, that's essentially what I would do if, for example, not that I'd become a CE provider because it just makes sense to put out content, but if I had like a course, subscription service, whatever, that's how I would structure it.
Yep.
Meaning that we can use Facebook groups as just course, subscription service, whatever, private Facebook group behind it can answer questions.
Yep.
That seems like the easiest thing for me to do.
Yeah. I mean,
if I was doing that.
yeah,
just
the
like
whole
you're
thing
doing.
is I really feel like the body work is transformative and completely revolutionary. People can't quite figure out what it is or how it's packaged. And then we added the subscription service, so I've got a double whammy. So I'm delivering like innovative content of body work people have never seen in a way that they've never seen in our industry. And the thing is, it's this double-edged sword, because on the one hand, you're not delivering content in the way they're familiar with. They're used to thinking like a CE class. And it's like, cool, we'll package it as CE class, but if you come take an in-person class with me, it's expensive. It's time-consuming. I can put up a subscription service and you can access it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, at your leisure.
Yeah, and again, I guess most people aren't thinking that way, because that's how I think of it when it comes to online education.
Yeah.
And especially with what you put out, because in the grand scheme of things, we're not that far away from each other, you and me, right?
Mm-hmm.
You live in Austin, I live in Houston. In the grand scheme of things, it's not that far away. But I also don't have money to shell out to study with you. So the closest I can get from Austin and Houston is just absorbing your content from the subscription service. And that makes it way easier on me, because I would not be saving up, my little bits of cash to come up with like $400 and then try to get like a week off from work. Like, that subscription service makes it like 10 times easier for me.
Yeah. I mean, I think long-term it's going to work. It's just putting together content in a way that therapists are familiar with. And essentially all it is the subscription service is you are accessing an online vault. And I am recording everything like I'm the Grateful Dead. And you're going to be able to scroll back to 72 and then scroll up to 75, pick the recording you want to see, and be able to watch it at your leisure. And then you're going to be able to ask me questions so I can shoot content to be able to give you more detail. We're providing it in a very different way than I've seen anybody else deal with. And it was like, how do I allow access but make it affordable? Because we have 50 hours of content right now. By the end of the year, it's going to be 100 hours. In 3 to 4 years' time, we might have 300 to 500 hours of video instruction available where I've recorded every class I've taught. Who else does that?
No.
And that's the thing, it doesn't exist. Like, I think in a way it's like it's disruptive to the industry as a whole. Like, they're looking at it like you're breaking the rules, and I'm like, that's exactly what I do, but I don't break the law.
It'll be interesting to see because I don't really see any other educator putting out the stuff that they do for a low cost, or even if they had a cost attached to it, it's just the fact that the time.
Yeah.
So if you look at most educators, it's either like they're mostly teaching a lot or working a lot with clients. If working a lot with clients, recording and stuff would take away. If you're mostly on educating and that's your sole income, that time you're recording takes away, depending on if you, well, they can just have someone help record, but just depending on how you structure it.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of different pieces. There's a lot of factors to how it actually functions. It's just that my pressing concern when it came to education was, how do I give students more value? They constantly complain, classes are too expensive. I can't afford it. And I said, now you can, it's $7 a month. And they're like, wait, I don't understand. What is this? Why do they think they have to learn in person?
It's, and again, it's just, it depends on your perspective too, because again, even with your content that you put out, and you put out a lot for $7, which is pretty much a steal, but it's like, how does that help them right away? So for example, you know, maybe for someone just getting out of school, it's like you're trying to learn a new modality. Okay, they're learning the stuff that you offer, but it's like they may not be able to use it right away, especially if they're working at a particular place.
Yeah. The whole thing is the table content, anybody can use that. Any massage therapist can come in, and 9 times out of 10, table-based therapists will look at what I'm doing, and they're like, whoa, this is different than what I'm used to. I'll go to Dallas and teach a class. 80% of the class never works in sideline position unless the client is pregnant. There's an entire position on the table, a primary position that they do not use.
Yeah.
It is the prone supine tyranny.
Yeah, it's interesting. Sideline, and that's what I noticed too. Like, I remember I was thinking, I was like, I need to try a class to learn sideline, and then I was like, let me just turn them sideline and just see how it goes.
Yeah. No, I mean, the thing is, fundamentally, what I'm offering on one level is very simple. It's not inordinately complex. I mean, one of the things I thought about was the fact that I see information from people calling what they do medical massage. But medical massage has no distinct definition in the West. They use a lot of medical jargon, and therapists go, ooh, it's medical. And I'm like,
Exactly.
what do you think? You know, and the thing is, like, for instance, if you looked at what I did as Thai massage, is Thai massage medical?
Depends on your definition of medical.
In the West.
Well, I guess there's no.
In the West.
Never mind. No. There's an objective definition of medical for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
But the thing is, it's like, can I help people with soft tissue conditions that are chronic pain related? Yes, all day long, every day.
Yeah.
It's my bread. It's my bread and butter. But I use simple language. I don't use medical jargon because I don't think it's necessary, and it overly confuses people. And I feel like it makes it inaccessible. But how do you make money in the industry? You make it inaccessible and you charge them thousands of dollars for it, and then they think it's worth something. That's what it seems like.
Basically, and yes, and that's the thing. And then some therapists will pretty much like have this elitism about them, is because, okay, you know a lot of medical terms, but it's like that doesn't mean anything. Yes, we want to educate clients and we want to let them know, but it's like, it's interesting when I think about how I work as a massage therapist and like what I do all day. And I'm like, at times, like when I'm in sessions, just even at work, when somebody's like, they're coming in for a massage, I'm like, what I'm doing isn't that crazy. And it's not like devaluing what I do. It's like I'm smart about how I work, but I'm like, for the past 5 minutes, I've just been moving my elbow back and forth on this one spot. They enjoy it. They come out and they enjoy it. And it's like, you know, it's like, and when they talk about education, it's like they're saying you learn more, as if like touching people, there's some crazy like technique or like magic move that someone's invented about
magic moves.
People.
Well, listen, if you take magic energy lines and magic moves and you put them together.
And that's why I don't get why people are charging an arm and leg. And I'm like, you're not doing anything crazy, and it's not to devalue the work, because I see massages like, also an art form as well. But I'm like, you're charging people thousands of dollars, but all you showed me was that I laid somebody on their side, you push them this way, and then you go, resist me.
Yeah.
And you're charging that much for like something that you could easily teach for like less of the cost. And I'm not saying give away everything for free, but it just seems to show that there's only limitations in like the medical field, let alone massage. Yeah. So that's why I'm like, what are these people charging for? I don't understand.
I have to charge for my time. But the thing is, I charge for a session, I charge for an in-person class, but when it came to the subscription service and providing educational content, we're providing educational content right now. It costs me nothing but a little bit of time.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it was like, okay, so if you can digitize things and record it and document it and have that regularly available as part of your vault, then it was like, what do you charge? And we literally had to sit down, and it was like, do we charge $100 a month? And it's like, no, that would be too much. Somebody would unsubscribe. Yeah. And then it was like, okay, so how do you keep people subscribed? Well, one, you provide them value. Two, you make it inexpensive enough that they won't unsubscribe. And I was like, what's Netflix? Exactly. What is that's it. It's the Netflix of massage education. You make it $7 a month. Every week a new video comes out, 2 hours. Netflix. Another show. Answer questions, interact, give them value, keep documenting, download, and record and upload everything. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, and I definitely say the more the better, because by the time you even have like 100 hours, you could even just break that off and make that into a course. Yeah. And the thing is, and then even break some of that stuff off.
It's forming over time. It's like mutating in ways based on feedback from people. So people were asking for social media help, and I'm just screen sharing the inside of my, not my Snapchat yet, but the inside of my Facebook, to screen share and show them, listen, this is my private page, this is my business page. Oh, I'm glad that you like it, Dreama. So yeah, Dreama's just talking about it. She's on the subscription service. We continue morphing, and the thing is, I downloaded some software today that allows me to screen share from my phone specifically. So I'm going to be able to show people how to use Snapchat, from the inside of my phone, and how am I using that to interact with people. That is cutting edge in our industry. Nobody comes close to that.
Which is crazy, because it's like, the thing is, I like what you're doing for giving people tips, but at the same time, I even sit back like, yo, all I gotta do is just play with it. And it's like, damn, to think you really have to sit down and explain Instagram to somebody. And granted, there's some platforms I wasn't too keen on too that I have to kind of learn about, but I'm like, you literally just use it. I think for most people, it's just not even doing it. Because how I look at all my video content, and what I'm actually really trying to do with now is that not just a matter of making a video every day, but I do sit back and look at, the stuff that I'm putting out, how does that establish me as an expert? So there's sometimes that I'm like, all right, I still have stuff I need to work on. But also with that too, what I like with how since you already have those X amount of years of experience, as far as Reboot and everything, it's like the more you put, the more that gives you purpose for promotional purposes as well. Hey, I've did a CE class right here, and you can just keep scaling that even easily for promotions.
Yeah. Well, Dreama commented, she said she appreciated the time in videos that they've changed her career. The people on the inside are giving me great feedback. It's outside of it where people are like, we don't understand. What is this? You're not offering CE credit. And I'm like, listen, we're working on it. But the thing is, even in the state of Texas, they won't allow me to educate online for CE credit. You know, I've got Anna Mickelgards in Sweden. Jeremiah Reynolds just came from Colorado. Peg Gaillard came from New Hampshire. Like, people are coming from around the U.S. and around the world to like try to study. And the thing is, I'm just going to keep giving them content, and the whole philosophy has been kill them with kindness. Just keep doing what you're doing. It doesn't matter if they don't get it now. They'll figure it out. Just keep giving them content and just bombard them day after day with more YouTube content, more social media content, more teaching stuff. Give them more value until the dam finally breaks.
Exactly.
It's like if what I'm doing is ineffective, the market will determine it. That's like the conversation we had about Rubsy, and they're like, you're associating what you do too closely with Rubsy, and I'm like, what?
Oh my God. Okay.
It's like, I'm not associating with them at all. It's just like another company that came into the entrepreneurs group.
Yeah, we can go on all day about that, but I'm just like, people aren't looking at the long run. They just wanted to find something to get upset at, especially when the ad, like, come on. So in the group, for those of you in the Massage Entrepreneurs group, someone had reposted an ad from Rubsy, and it said, I got a massage from a unicorn. And then people were like, oh, well, yeah, people supported this, and look what they're doing, saying they got a massage by a unicorn. And then I realized people were just finding a reason to get triggered because Chris, the owner, he's like, well, I did it as a Halloween promotion. I was like, I did not even think about that. And they didn't even think about that either, but they just wanted to find something to get upset about. It's so dumb.
It's such an interesting spot to be in as an educator, to realize I'm at my prime, that I'm pushing out content as rapidly as I can, and people are just like, but I don't understand, like, but this is different, and we have to sell it differently, and it's so much work, and we have to like learn things, and you know.
Yes, it takes work. Like, making videos takes work. Like, I can't tell you how many times I have to sit and like do angles and like going through making videos, and then they were crap because I didn't have the angle right. Like, it takes work. And unless you got the money to hire out for it, like, you're gonna have to do some of the stuff yourself. And it does take a lot of time.
Yeah.
And it is frustrating.
You know, it's not any easier from my angle. If anything, it's more difficult because I'm not just working to like maintain clients. I'm not working just to maintain students. Like, I'm maintaining like classes, clients, and retail all at the same time, and juggle these 3 different businesses simultaneously, plus not get divorced.
Oh, man. All right, man. I'm going to hop off. I got stuff to do.
All right. So listen, I'll put a link down below to the subscription service with a coupon code for you guys who are watching if you're not on the subscription service. It'll give you access for $1 for the first month. But thanks, Sterling. It was good to talk.
All right, man. See you.
Talk to you later.